How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. So if you watched my last video, you would have known that I had a few issues at the last track day. So basically, over boosting, under boosting, and power steering was failing. I got Matsuri coming up in about a week and a half, so I got to chop and fix the car. But basically, overboost. We'll start with that. I've already been over the car a little bit, to be honest, because I wanted to order parts straight away. At the track, I did fix/replace a couple of lines. Didn't help. They must have been on their way out, but not completely out, so it wasn't actually the problem. Diagnosed that the diaphragm was probably torn inside the wastegate. So I stripped apart the wastegate, and there is little grub screws that attach that to the piston. Two of the grub screws are backed out, so I'm assuming some boost or air, whatever, can get passed through there, causing it to overboost. But there was a few hairline cuts in the diaphragm as well. So yeah, pop a little bit of Loctite on the grub screws, bang it all back together, boost fixed, mostly, right? But I decided, why not drop fittings everywhere, go all out. Just turned up now, all black fittings. Gonna redo all the vacuum lines for, well, the wastegate side of things anyway. Got the parts for the wastegate, got the parts for vacuum lines, so that should be overboost sorted relatively easily now that I've spent a pile of money. Underboost. I was popping off intercooler pipings quite a lot in the last sort of 3 days I've been out. So yeah, I'd broken off the tabs on the bottom mounts of the intercooler, so it was free to like rock back and forth. So there's one pipe I'm going to completely replace. A couple I'm going to try and put a bit of bead on, put some mounts back on the intercooler to stop it flopping about, and hopefully that gets me through Matsuri and Chrome, because then after that I plan on pulling the whole front end apart, and then finally power steering. So I had a spare pump, yay, but at the same time I'm just we're going to pop a new seal and O-ring and things like that in it, because the last thing I want to do is throw in a second-hand pump onto the car and get to the track and it turns out to be worse than what I replaced. So that'll just be my day over. So I'm getting new seals and stuff put on that pump. Gonna go over with the lines because I can see there is lines leaking. Replace what I can, maybe chucking a small power steering cooler as well. And yeah, that should be the main things off the list really. We should be good for Matsuri. So I guess I'll just start chopping into it. So first thing I'm doing with the lines is fitting them to the wastegate. So I did run, say, this in here before, and I can't remember which end went inside, but anyway, one is the wrong fitting. That's a -3 to -3. It's supposed to use a M10 by 1 for the tile, and two, that end was too long through there, and you can see there's a mark on top where that was hitting. So I'll just cut that down. I might put a bit of thread tape in there maybe, but it's probably just going to burn. But yeah, cut that down so that it's flush, so that it won't hit. And that's one done, and then I'll do the same to the fitting there. The other thing I'm going to do is the way that this used to be orientated on the car, something like that. And this is all adjustable, don't know why I ever did it, but anyway, this fitting was pointing upright, straight to the downpipe. So I've just rotated it so that it can go straight outside, nowhere near any heat. So it'll be another slight improvement, even though this stuff should be able to handle the heat. If if it's avoidable, might as well have it nowhere near it. At least I can tighten it up and check the fittings without getting my hands hot. Well, I've got all those grub screws in there now, and I to say that very much does look like you could run a bit of safety wire around there. So I think I might, because I've had them back out before. Obviously, solid mounted engine, solid mounted gearbox, and even like that is a fair amount of vibration. So I assume it can't hurt. We'll find out. So now that's all Loctite and safety wired in, I'll spring in, hat on, and probably help if I go get the bolts, which are sitting on the shelf over here. Alright, I'll pop these in. I did this once on the car. God, it was a prick. Really got it. You know what? I'm going to set this in the vise. Change of plan. I'm going to use the press. It seemed easier than what being the tiny little vise I've got all the way up. Well, I quickly checked on Google fittings for the Mac valve. 1/8 BSP, if you want to know. Not what I ordered anyway. So I'm going to put the wastegate back on now, and I'll still make the lines. Just an approximate place that I'll put the Mac valve. Base it off that. There's always going to be a bit of slack in the line anyway. I'm lucky, I'll check that, what threads in there into the Mac valve. That might be 1/8 BSP as well. I'll go down to Jap Race or Silver Vista Performance, same place, and pick some of those up tomorrow. I've got all the lines all properly tightened up and run, etc. now. Mostly. I still need to get the two fittings for the Mac valve. Jap Race didn't have BSP, and Christchurch cylinder heads only had them in silver, and I kind of wanted them in black. But yeah, all clamped on, everything's all run to the wastegate, so hopefully no more line issues. Once I get those two fittings, we are good. While I wait for those last couple of fittings to arrive, I'm going to work on the power steering now. So basically, now that I've got all that stuff buttoned up, I'm going to pull it all off. Just give myself as much room as possible. Pull off the pump, and inspect the lines before I pull off the pump to see if any of those were causing me issues. They might have been. So yeah, I'll check out the lines. I'll take note of what might need to be replaced in the lines, and I'm still going to replace the pump anyway, because why not? And yeah, so drain all that. I might end up, can't really remember how much room I've got to work with when I'm down below. I might end up pulling the radiator as well, just to give myself as much room as possible. I might pull out all the factory oil cooler line, and just chuck a small aftermarket power steering cooler, because yeah, probably be pushing my luck not running one really. Well, I was time lapsing, but it stopped and I just carried on so that I could do hoary things off camera with an angle grinder. So power steering pump's off, all the factory cooler line is gone. So I did notice old AN line for the feed. I'm not sure if that's tight or not. Oh, never mind, that's probably just rotating like it's supposed to. Just like that one is. Damn. Oh well, anyway, that wasn't clamped on properly, which is a start. I think the AN line was leaking here, down the bottom of the pump, because I used to see a little dribble down here. That's the only real place that can come from, because the top is looking dry. Grubby, but dry. Doesn't appear to be leaking from the front seal. So, I don't know, I may or may not just chuck that one back on. Nip up these lines. One of the lines that I have, oh, it's probably tucked away up here, that was going to the factory oil cooler, had a real nasty kink in it, so that wouldn't have helped. So yeah, I'm just going to go put it down with a whole pile of high RPM, maybe a couple of loose fittings letting air in, which was my problem with the power steering. So chuck a cooler in, make sure the lines are all nice and tight. May or may not swap that pump, and it should be all good. Well, I just swapped all of the bits over onto the new pump from the old one. It's about to stick it back in, and then noticed something that I previously missed. Where are we? I reckon that's been getting pretty hot, eh? I might need to, well, definitely need to get a new hose. I need to put a heat sleeve on that too. So I've skipped ahead quite a bit here. Bit of mucking around. Power steer cooler. It's not the biggest one in the world, but I figure at least if the fans are sucking through, might help cool it. Would have seen put a pic of one of the lines down there being a bit toasted, so I've also put a bit of heat insulation on the line down there, which you can't see, which is the one that got hot and roasted. So yeah, hopefully just drop this radiator back in, make sure those lines will sit in nice spots once it's back in, and then really all that's left will be obviously putting everything back together, but sorting out intercooler piping. So I just need to put a proper end on that, put a better end on that other than a couple of tack welds, and there is one other piece which doesn't matter if I've lost it because I want to completely replace it anyway. But yeah, the power steering is all back together now, cooling system's all back together for now. I might change something on it, but I'm just going to quickly bleed the power steering system and check that's for leaks, make sure that's fine. Also check the cooling system for leaks as well, make sure that's fine. And yeah, you get to hear one of my terrible cold starts. Intercooler piping still not done. I'll get to that. Oh, that's it. Power steering's all bled. So far, no leaks. Good. So I just suss out wheel alignment and intercooler pipes. Should be pretty good. does have an exhaust leak. Didn't quite get that V-band lined up that nicely because the exhaust is pulling on it from the other end. I need to pop it off the hanger and other such things, but I couldn't be bothered because back end's on the ground while the front's up, so I can't actually get under the back. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Unless something major goes on, you'll see me at Matsuri.